Hello everybody, Board Game Lawyer here. It is a Monday evening and I thought I would play some Marvel Champions from Fantasy Flight Games. So let's get down to the table and take a look at what I'm going to be playing with here this evening. So this week begins week 2 of the Critical Encounters Summer Organized Play event. And so I thought I'd go ahead and take on the challenge that they put forth this week. It's called Blazing Inferno. The rules to this challenge says that things really heat up in the second week of summer organized play. The temperatures are high, and tempers flare as Crusher Creel, the Absorbing Man, and his army of Hydra Flame Soldiers set fire to everything in sight. Can you overcome the flames and extinguish his plans? So let's talk about the setup for this scenario here this evening. First thing that we see is we have Absorbing Man on the table, and we're going to be playing in standard mode today. We've also included as the modular set the Hydra Assault, so that's all shuffled into the encounter deck as well as those standard cards. It also tells us to set Groot's Nemesis side scheme aside. So this is all, or his Nemesis set aside. So if you look at the table here, we have the Blazing Inferno, which is Groot's Nemesis side scheme. We also have Groot's Nemesis, who is Fernax. And we have 3 Treachery cards that are included in that Groot Nemesis set. So we've got those all set aside. And then it says that after setup, there's some rules that pertain to this Nemesis set. So we'll go ahead and get everything set up for Absorbing Man. We're going to be playing against Absorbing Man today with none other than Bruce Banner, the Incredible Hulk. And this particular deck was actually created by Villain Theory. And he made this for D20 Woodworking to take on the Mojo campaign. But I thought I'd go ahead and use this deck this evening. So this is called Hulkamania Pure Rage. It's an aggression deck. And basically the idea is to try to Hulk out as much as we possibly can. Try to take down Absorbing Man before the flames overtake Dr. Banner. Alright, so None Shall Pass is our main scheme. It says discard cards from the encounter deck until an environment is discarded. Put that card into play. Shuffle the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck. So let's go over there and start discarding cards from that encounter deck. And here is our first one. Hydra Jet Trooper, Omnimorph Duplication. There it is, the Dense Forest. Alright, so we're going to put the Dense Forest into play. And what does it say? I'll set it over here right next to Absorbing Man. So this environment says that it has a force response after Absorbing Man makes an undefended attack against you. Take 1 indirect damage, 2 indirect damage instead if there are 5 or more delay counters on the main scheme. So we'll learn more about the main scheme and the counters after we flip over our main scheme None Shall Pass. So we discard cards from the encounter deck until an environment is discarded, put that card into play, and shuffle the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck. Okay, so we place all of these cards. We'll go ahead and shuffle those back into the deck. Yep. All right, and we'll just give it a nice little shuffle here. And so let's flip None Shall Pass and see what it says on side 1B. All right, None Shall Pass. After resolving step 1 of the villain phase, place 1 delay counter here. When an environment enters play, discard each other environment card in play. If this stage is completed, the players lose the game. It starts with 2 threat on it. It threats out at 12. And you add 1 at the beginning of each turn when you place that delay counter on None Shall Pass. Let's look at Absorbing Man. So Absorbing Man says that he gains the trait of each environment in play, and the environment that is in play today is the Dense Forest. So he has the Wood trait on himself. So that's the setup for Absorbing Man. Let's go ahead and do our setup for Bruce Banner. So we'll notice that we haven't done any mulligans yet, and I think I will. So let's discard let me discard Unstoppable Force, and I'll hang on to Clobber, and I'll hang on to a movable object, of course Limitless Strength, and Skilled Strike. So we'll go ahead and mulligan for the Power of Aggression. All right, that's good for Clobber. Ooh, that's excellent, actually, for Clobber. I think, I don't know if we'll be able to play more than one card, but we do have that banner ability, which says Experimental Research, Action, draw one card, choose and discard one card from your hand, limit once per round. Okay, so our setup is complete. We've already done our mulligans. Now let's read our special rules for this Critical Encounters Challenge, Blazing Inferno. So here's the special rules. After setup, put the Blazing Inferno side scheme from Groot's Nemesis set into play. So we've got the Blazing Inferno. It's happening over here right next to the Dense Force, which is never good. And so let's read the rules on the Blazing Inferno. It says force response. After the villain phase begins, deal 2 indirect damage to each player. So each player is me. So 2 indirect damage to the Hulk at the after the villain phase begins. All right, so that's in play. And let's see what else here in the rules. It says deal each player 1 random face down encounter card from the remainder of Groot's Nemesis set. Shuffle the rest, if any, cards from Groot's Nemesis set into the encounter deck. Okay, so the rest of Groot's deck is Fernax, who is a big old Leviathan. When he activates, deal 2 indirect damage. Fan to Flames deals 2 indirect damage. It says take 1 additional indirect damage if Fernax is in play, and take 1 indirect. Or let's see. Hold on. There's a lot of flames going on here. Take 2 indirect damage. If Blazing Inferno is in play, take 1 indirect damage. If Fernax is in play, take 1 indirect damage. So in a multiplayer game, if all these cards get dealt out to all the players, and Fernax gets flipped first, and Blazing Inferno is still on the table, that could be really bad for the team. So let's go ahead and we're going to, let's see, I think I've got a slot over here. Yeah, I got slot over here to make this into a deck so that we can draw 1 card randomly. Let's go ahead and give that a shuffle. And we're going to deal ourselves 1 face down encounter card out of that deck. So let's see, draw unrevealed. So there's the 1 card that's dealt to us. The rest of these cards, we'll go ahead and deal these face down as well. Draw unrevealed, draw unrevealed, draw unrevealed. There should be 3 here, yes. And then we'll shuffle these remaining cards into the encounter deck. Give it 1 good shuffle. All right, and so I think that's everything except we're going to go ahead and play in hardcore mode this evening, meaning that each player begins the game in a cloud of smoke. That means they're confused. All right, so we're going to confuse the Hulk more than he already is.